Well, here we are in the city of Leh, Ladakh. What a great place this is. But for most of us, it's been such a long, tiring 24 hours. But not as challenging as the last 9 months for a lot of people. Fundraising events, trivia nights, trips away. It's all for the right reason.
I kind of thought, how was I going to raise that amount of money? It seemed like a lot of money to raise, but I actually went quite over the amount.
We had trivia nights, a movie night, a wineries tour. We sold Cadbury chocolates all throughout the hospital where we work, and Krispy Kreme donuts. They're a really good seller.
We have chocoholics at work, so most of it's been through selling chocolates, company donations and the raffle. I did really well with the raffle.
Multiple sclerosis is the most common disease of the central nervous system among young adults, and in Australia it affects about 16,000 people. Now, interestingly, this disease affects 3 times more women than men. Now, while the average age of diagnosis is just 32, it can be diagnosed at any age. And I guess that's what one of the devastating effects of this disease is that it's affecting young people in the prime of their lives.
My name's Ursula and I'm from Melbourne. MS affects everyone differently. It's affected my legs and my balance, and people can go on for many years living a normal life, which is me.
I think I was drawn to MS because I have a neurological condition which, although it's not MS, is a bit similar.
Ladakh lies in the very northern tip of India. Area itself is very big, huge one. You can call it, the eastern part of Ladakh is a tableland, a plateau. And the whole region is, you can term as the semi-arid desert.
Sento hingruz macha lokeleon tanjonga lokeleon tanjonga.
Recently, we came up with the idea of doing an MS Challenge fundraising program. The idea behind it is to get people who want to do something different, who want to give something back to the community. They each have a registration fee of approximately $500 and then must fundraise a set amount to help support our programs and help support the Multiple Sclerosis Society. The fundraising target on this event is $5,500, so each person that you've seen on this has raised the money through various channels, asked for donations, done small events to help them raise the funds. So it's very admirable. They've acted as mini ambassadors to get them this far.
10 years ago I met somebody from Ladakh when I was on a previous India trip, and his family is from Ladakh. So when I used to get postcards and tell me about his family, it really, really interested me. So that just made it for me, and here I am.
So here we are at day 3 in the village of Umla. Yesterday, we started off by walking through the city of Leh up to Leh Castle, which was actually built in the 13th century on top of the dead bodies from the Mongolian invaders. The castle is actually completely surrounded by Tibetan prayer flags, one of the most amazing sights you'll ever see. From there we descended down to Leh Palace. Wow, this palace is massive. Built in the 16th century. It's no longer in use, it's up for renovations now. It's actually been handed over to the Archaeological Survey of India. Out the front of the palace is one lion. It's actually there to protect the palace. It was built in aid of the king. So today we drove in convoys of 4-wheel drives 21 kilometres outside of Leh to the Phayong Monastery. This monastery is part of the Red Cap School of Buddhism. It's a pretty spectacular monastery. The actual Dalai Lama visits himself every time he comes to this area. So from the Freung Monastery, we drove 12 kilometres before our campsite. We outed the cars and we trekked the rest of the way, another 2 Ks. Once we got here, we met some of the most amazing locals you've ever seen, all different ages, but let me tell you, they're very friendly and they welcome you into their home.
Temples or the monasteries here in Ladakh, the significance is very high. Previously, in most of the families, we used to send one kid, maybe the youngest one, to become a monk in the monastery. And monastery also got a lot of land throughout Ladakh, almost everywhere. So 2-3 decades back, monasteries used to play a big role in the society, social life, almost in every aspect of life. Here, the impact of tourism is, both sides, like positive plus negative, The mostly we have the positive aspects from the tourism, As you know, the Ladakh is opened in 1974 for the first time for the foreigners. And because of their visit to Ladakh, most of the people here in Ladakh, they came to know the value of their tradition, value of their way of life. So these are the positive sides. But on the other side, a little percentage of people, they are trying to follow some negative things from the Western people. But mostly I can say the tourists are coming here, especially in Ladakh, they are good quality tourists, adventure type, cultural lovers, spiritual oriented people, they are visiting Ladakh. And I'm lucky that because we got chances to serve such people, of this quality.
Well, Intrepid's a company that specialises in unconventional travel, I guess. We take a pride in getting people off the beaten track. We also put money back and have a commitment to the communities that we visit. So what this means for the people that travel with us is they get the chance to interact with some pretty unique places and people along the way in a way that you wouldn't normally get on a conventional tour. The challenges really lend themselves well to this kind of travel, because often we're either trekking, as we've done this week, or cycling, where you can get yourself right off the beaten track and see the real soul of a country. And that's what Intrepid's philosophy is, really. Getting out and really meeting the people in each country that we travel into.
MS is often called the mysterious disease because we don't know what the cause is, we don't know what the cure is, and there's such a wide variety of symptoms. Now, commonly these are difficulties in walking, talking, seeing and hearing, but they can be any one of 1,000 symptoms, and even in the one person, it could be, one day they'll have a problem walking. Now, that problem could clear up, and then months later they'll wake up, maybe their vision is blurry. It's really just such a frustrating disease for those people that are affected by it.
Out of breath, and I'm a bit nervous of heights, and so my balance is a bit wonky at the moment. And also the sand is is not stable, so slipping a lot. So it's almost like up 2, down 3. We'll get there.
It's all worth it when you get a reception like that, isn't it?
I was diagnosed with MS 4 years ago, but I think I've had it for longer. The heat affects me. I get tired very easily, and being up here as well, I suffer. Breathing is hard.
Although we are yet to find a cure, medications are available and the MS Society is always there to be able to provide special advice for people with MS and their carers. Whether we can direct you to any number of physios, occupational therapists, we can line you up with exercise classes that just improve the quality of life for people with this condition.
We set off from Umla village about 8:30, 8:45 for a big day. It took us about 3.5 to 4 hours of going over flat plateaus and undulating hills before we finally reached our little oasis of lunchtime. It was so hot yesterday, so most people took advantage of the nice, fresh, cool water. Some people swam, some people just dipped their head, but most people found it refreshing. After we left our lunch site, nobody could ever imagine what was about to happen. We were about to conquer 2 extremely steep mountains. The first one, it was tough, but once we got there, we overlooked Nemo village and the army base. Boy, was that a sight. Once we went further, the second one was even tougher. Most people struggled, but let me tell you, once we got to the top, the exhilaration was so good. So here we are at day 6 at Ladakh village. So this morning we were trucked to the Busko monastery. The site for the monastery was found in the 11th century. Here's a little piece of trivia. Busko used to be the capital of Ladakh way back in the 15th century. The Busko monastery has 2 of the biggest Metra Buddhas that we've seen on our trip so far. It's currently under preservation and is an endangered site. Once we'd finally caught our breath, we set off for our final destination for the day, Nye village. What seemed to be difficult was rather easy. The undulating hills, walk in the park. Once we finally got to Nye, most of us were able to experience an archery festival that the local Ladakhians had been putting on. So here we are at day 7. We've just finished our first pass of the morning and we've come around these big beautiful mountains around the bend to see this behind me. Guys building little retaining walls out of bricks, rocks on the side of the road. We've just arrived at camp here at Yangtang. We're in between 2 mountains in the bottom of the gully. It's cold, it's wet, it's raining. We've been trekking for 3.5 hours now and we're all freezing cold. Thank God we've made it and we're not still out there. It's time to go and get warm, get something on and have a rest. So the last couple of days have been horrendous. It's pouring rain and it's freezing. So much so that we've had to move into a community hall. This is the most rain the area has had in a long time. At night we were treated to a traditional dance by some of the young local girls. This was performed in complete traditional dress and mirrored the celebration of marriage. To show our gratitude, we showed the locals a little piece of Aussie culture. So here we are, the morning of day 9, our last day of trekking. We've just completed our first pass of the morning. We're at our highest point now, 3,800 metres. Everyone's in high spirits because they can see the end is nearby.
We have a written history of last 8 to 900 years. But exactly it's very difficult to say, when the first time the human beings settled down in this mountainous part of Ladakh. Most of the people are the Mongolian breeds, and later on it's mixed up with some Dravidians, and we have a race called Aryans in the west of Leh. Yeah, their population is known as one of the most pure race in the world. I mean, this winter we are expecting a lot of snowfall, and the heavy snow is very important to this part of the world, because our ecosystem is so fragile here. It's very sensitive. Without snowfall, the life will extinguish from here. So snow is very important to this part of the world. We have 113 villages, scattered throughout this around 69,000 square kilometers. Right now we are 10 meters higher than Leh, and the highest elevation in Ladakh is 7,727 meters. This one? With the modern education, the kids are now exposing too much, So they are getting modern education as everywhere, but at the same time they are losing their own culture, a little bit, because nobody would like to do in the fields. Because of this modern education, they have to go to Delhi and other cities of India, so they are normally away from their parents. It sometimes causes problem, because they don't know the real tradition, who they are belongs to, so somehow they are forgetting this culture.
We packed up this morning from Tamasgang and drove to the Figang Monastery, which took us about 3 hours. Once we arrived at the monastery, we were lucky enough to see the core event of the monastic festival called Charms, a highly choreographed sacred dance drama performed by lamas to the accompaniment of mystic music played on the monastic orchestra. These dances are performed not only to symbolise the destruction of evil spirits and dramatise the illusion of life, but also as a ritual offering to the deities of the monastery and the guardians of the faith. A selected group of lamas of the monastery, dressed in brightly patterned brocade robes, perform the dances in the monastic courtyard called the Chamra. The dancers wear various kinds of masks, some fierce and grotesque, some others benign and pleasing. These represent various divinities from the Buddhist pantheon, most of which are found in statue form in the Kongang, the room dedicated to the guardian divinities in the major monasteries. Some of the masks may even represent famous characters from historical episodes or Tibetan fables. Day 12. We're back in Leh and the emotions are running high. It's our last day of the MS Charity Challenge. Some people are sad, some people are happy to be going home, but I think everyone will agree that this is a beautiful place.
I found out about the charity challenges through a good friend of mine, and like him just thought what an awesome opportunity to raise money for a very worthy cause, and also then to come and be physically challenged in this beautiful terrain. Can't get anything better than being in the outdoors, working for it. And then you get to the top of a hill like what we've just done here, and you can't top that feeling. You feel amazing. That's why I'm here.
Just seeing what I was capable of doing. I mean, it really did push you to the limits. Not like climbing Everest or anything, but doing a 25k trek one day at high altitude is not easy.
Mentally, to keep going every morning, to get up, repack, get organised, 7:30, start walking, but extremely rewarding. You know, from a challenge like that, the rewards are huge.
I'm a personal trainer, so I'm fairly fit, but it was great to see so many different levels of fitness and everybody accomplished it. I found that the first day tracking there, one day was particularly hard, and it was good to get to the top and just be there and cheer everyone else on as they completed their trek for the day. It was great.
It was definitely very challenging. It was very hard, and I didn't think it would be as difficult as it was, but that's the whole part of the challenge, so yeah, it was great.
I don't know what my highlight was. It was just all so exciting. It was fantastic.
I found the whole experience challenging, but at the same time extremely enjoyable, apart from the breath.
The highlight of this trip for me was climbing 3,900 metres above sea level.
I hope what you've just seen will motivate you not only to talk about the challenge, but maybe come on a challenge. And remember, the most important thing of these challenges is to raise money for the MS Society.
Ngai jua tsik sum ho Teng sang junu kula Ngai jua tsik sum ho Teng sang junu kula Sen to hing ruz ma cha Lokele yon tanjonga Lokele yon tanjonga Yon tanchelas pangste Rangi sembo ma fam Yon tanchelas pangste Rangi sembo ma fam Pantos mirug molte Jangilo kelmacha Jangilo kelmacha